I'm not sure if you've ever made a voiceover video with some B-roll in the background. If you haven't yet and you're thinking about it, I've got some pointers today that I want to share with you. I got the idea while I was gardening recently and I was listening to a YouTube video. It was the perfect one to listen to because the creator had gone for a walk and she had just done a lot of filming in her city. That sounds like a little bit of a lower effort video. You don't have to show your face and set up a tripod or blah, 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 blah. And also I thought it would be quite fun to use some footage that is interesting to look at. If you get only one thing from this video, and I will be talking about it a little bit, emphasizing the importance of this, when you're doing a voiceover, it's not like at the moment, for example, I can use my hands to emphasize something, and they're visual aids. If you are watching the video, it's easier to hear when you can see the person talking, when you can see like a little bit of hand gesture and facial expressions. When I recorded my voice, it came out really flat, dull, monotone, so much more than I think I do normally. I don't know why that was, because in my mind I had set out to be, a bit expressive, because obviously that's more interesting to listen to and understand, and follow along and all that kind of stuff. It's more engaging. I recorded that video so many times. I would be embarrassed actually if I had to tell you how many times. And I did it in the evening a few times. I did it before work a couple of days, which wasn't ideal. And then towards the end, I was really quite over it. I'd been talking so slowly. When I'm listening to my voice, I'm thinking, boring. And then I was trying to speak a little bit quicker, and I was going back to my script and crossing out words in my script and thinking, oh, that sounds a little bit like... I just kept on fussing with it. I just was definitely overcooking the whole thing. The way that I got over it, I actually had to tell myself to deliberately try and speak as fast as I could. When I speak as fast as I can, I don't enunciate my words very well, and then I re-record that little bit. I actually just had to tell myself, read this as fast as you can, try and speak as clearly as you can without trying to sound like Hermione in Harry Potter, because I can definitely tend towards that when I have got my YouTube presenter voice on. Do you know what I mean? I have to say, I have been thinking about that whole YouTube presenter voice. Have you made videos? Do you have a channel? And have you been through that where you've had to say to yourself, I'm not reading the nightly news. Like, no one's going to listen to this. If I talk like, I'm telling off one of the kids, or, I'm the school principal of Rydell High, that's what I had to do. So 2 ways I got over that. One was just to speak as fast as I could and, have it to be a little bit legible. But I also decided to have subtitles. That's really important. I should have mentioned that earlier. So I did put some subtitles on, and I was very choosy about having nice subtitles that came up quite naturally, and they weren't TikTok-y and yellow ones that just flashed a word at a time or 3 words at a time. So the person whose channel that I was listening to and video that I was obviously watching from time to time, she had these really, really nice ones too. And I think that these particular nice ones came from Premiere Pro. So yeah, I hope that those were nice to look at, but I was certainly pleased with the way that they came out. But anyway, going back to the 2 things. One is reading as quickly as you can. If you are like me and you tend to speak too slowly and blah, 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 go faster. Just go for it, because guarantee when you listen back, it won't come out too fast. And I don't think it came out too fast. In fact, I thought that the speed that I ended up by talking, doing that voiceover, was probably just about right. And of course the captions helped. The second thing is, have you watched any of the actors? For example, I'm thinking about The Rock, and I think it might have been in Moana, the animated kids movie. But just any of those, like Lion King or The Incredibles, where you see the actors and they've got their headphones on and they're behind that big, like little fly swatter thing, like just to not do the little spitting thing, like me here, like I've got this, they've got one of those things, like, and they are being really animated. I wasn't doing that because, I just kind of thought, yeah, it didn't come naturally to me to think about that. And honestly, I'd just run out of time by then. But what I did do was that, I'll try and give an example. I made sure that my voice went really, really up sometimes, like, okay, that didn't come out well. I tried to, if it was really exciting, I really emphasized that. And then if something really bad happened and I needed to slow down a little bit. But, there were times when I spoke quite quickly, and it was actually okay if I ran my words over a little bit. And then other times I just spoke quite evenly, and I said, if you don't do this, then you are risking this happening. For example, if you don't think about your thumbnail and you end up by making it too busy, for example. So yeah, that is hopefully just a little demo about how I really tried to bring some life into my voice. It is a wonderful idea, I think, for a video, and I will do it again. The other thing, though, that took me so much more time, because at first I was just going to run a whole bunch of B-roll video in the background and just think, oh, hey, look, great, here's the words. If I had, for example, the footage was New York, I felt that there might be enough interest that if I didn't fuss with the editing of the clips very much or at all, then it would just all work magically. Actually, it's really hot now. And the plane's gone. But you know what? It didn't. When I started doing that, I dumped a whole lot of clips onto my timeline when I was editing. When I started thinking about, maybe I'll just try to have some of the clips make sense. That's a concept, isn't it? Want to be a YouTuber? It does take a bit of work. So I started doing that. I started trimming it where it made sense and matching it up with the captions in Premiere Pro. The other thing as well is when I brought all my clips in, and it doesn't matter what editing software you use, it was quite hard if I dumped quite a lot straight in because I didn't actually know what was on them. So then I was bringing them in on top of my voiceover, and I actually didn't know what was where. And then as my editing went on, I improved my workflow. I took the time to label the clips what they're about. I had 2 clips, one of a big, nice, beautiful, tall building that was lit up in purple, and then I had a much more closer up shot where you could see a whole lot of people gathered around, and, they were around one of the many 1,528 Christmas trees around Times Square in the middle of Manhattan. New York in December was stunning, by the way, because in New Zealand we don't go over the top about Christmas. We don't do heaps of Christmassy things as probably a country or cities or anything like that. And I guess maybe part of the reason is because we're in our summer. So it was fun to be in New York for all the fun Christmassy stuff. But anyway, so I labelled one Purple Building and I labelled the other one Purple Building with People. So then I just loved it when I was doing that part of my editing, and I could easily identify what I wanted. So that was a real learn by doing. So yeah, just sharing that with you. 3 things. 1, listen to yourself critically after you do a voiceover. When I say critically, I don't mean to beat yourself up. I just mean in the way that you want your work to be as the best piece of work that you possibly can put out. And so when you listen to your voiceover, because frankly, the voiceover part is quite easy. You just need to talk into your phone or talk into a microphone. So that part's quite easy. So it isn't impossible just to do a refilm of it, or, try not to do it 28 times like I might have. I don't think it was 28 times, but yeah. Maybe just 21 or something like that. I've got no idea. I don't want to know, but it was quite, it was a bit maddening. I definitely was over it by the end. So yeah, listen to yourself critically and just ask yourself, if this wasn't me, does this sound interesting? Because hopefully yours will, but sadly mine wasn't. So listen critically and don't be afraid to record it again, because you're going to put in a lot of effort, and At the end of the day, the editing was something that probably took me the longest. Yeah, I'm just not going to put out anything that I don't feel is the very, very best that I can do with the skills that I have right now. And film it again if you need to. Get it to be as best as you can. But there's a few little tips. Talk faster if you come out too slow. If you feel like you're reading a storybook, like an audio book, that's not what you're going for on your YouTube video, and will stick out a little bit in a bad way, as opposed to just being a piece of variety that will, just be fun in one of your playlists. Second thing is, the editing will take longer than you think. If you just say to yourself in your mind, you are just going to trim it nicely with the captions and where the natural pauses are. It's hot again. Where the natural pauses are. Just accept it and do it. Further to that point, deliberately go out and get some long pieces of footage. I probably put something like, how long was that video? Maybe 10 minutes or so. I would have had something like 80 to 100, I think, photos or videos on that, timeline. But go and get big, long pieces of footage and think about having interesting pieces of footage too. So if you do that bit first, the editing will be easier. And, you can always spice it up a little bit with some photographs. Right, there's another point. Third thing, make sure you've got some photos. The photos are really, really awesome for just giving the eye a bit of a break and just letting a visual break. Particularly, of course, there's a lot of movement. If you're walking around doing filming while you're walking, you've got that whole gimbal thing going on, which makes it nice and smooth, but also it's just quite nice. The other thing that you can do with photos as well is you can just do like a little gentle, slow, like a little zoom out, or you can start big and sort of come in slowly like that. So, there's some quite fun things that you can do with the photos, or you can start low and just sort of have it slightly sort of coming up. So photos are a good idea. That's all that I wanted to share with you today. Just those 3 things. Make sure that your voiceover is as good as you can make it and you've got lots of expression and variety. And if you can, use your arms and use your body. Oh, another point, I definitely stood up. Don't sit down for doing voiceover, because you'll have what I've got right now, which is sit down voice. And there's just something about the way that your voice sounds a lot more cleaner and better. Just better, because the air is able to circulate, you're standing up. Do you think that you can tell when someone is sitting down or standing up when they're talking, either on the phone or on a video? I'd love you to tell me in the comments if you can tell. So yeah, stand up, that's the other one. Yep, expression in your voice, have some good B-roll. Walking around stuff is really, really good. If you do walking around video, make sure that you've got gimbal capability, or you've got a gimbal. But iPhones, I think the latest ones that I don't have got like a gimbal that you can enable, or maybe it's just naturally built in there. And pre-playing your B-roll, have some photographs, and stand up. And apart from that, you're good to go. Thank you so much for watching this video. Best of luck for doing a voiceover video. And yeah, if you try any of those things, let me know how it goes.